All right, those of you who've been following what I've been talking about the last few days, La Luz del Mundo, if you've done even a basic amount of research, must by now kind of resonate with you as a little bit like, huh? Like, did you ever hear of it? Did you ever know about it? Was it something until, like, I don't know, however long ago, that was even a thing amongst people that you knew, if it's even something that you're familiar with prior to me mentioning it? This is a form of what I think is like these labs like SAIC and other groups have done with the internet via the online live interactive virtual environment, is they've simply created religions out of thin air. They've created organizations out of thin air that have like 100-year plus traditions, but they don't. But the internet will tell you that. And then once they get a group of people to go along with the narrative, which is effectively a large mafia that just uses it as a script to hide their activity, then suddenly something that did not exist for this long becomes something that did. And the lore behind it is really just clues, cryptograms, and ciphers behind what it really is. So I'm saying this to you because it is my firm belief that La Luz del Mundo is a Mandela effect, potentially, if it's not SAIC, somebody like it, created fake religion that has been designed effectively as money laundering because its nonprofit status can achieve that. Now, what are they money laundering for? That's where it all gets a little bit dicey, because if you ask me, it's this whole thing involving underground uranium. It's like an extension of it connected to things that I've talked about in my past articles. The lore that used to be behind The Godfather, for example. I've often told people what Mario Puzo really did with The Godfather was write an epic tale of both the mafia as a hidden cryptogram of who the real mafia is, but also that uranium is really the economy, and it's within the names of the characters. And it even tells you who that family is. It's the Leon Mafia, CoreLEON. That underground core, coring the earth, is tunneling, boring, tunneling, CoreLEON. Okay, so that's why CoreLEON, which used to be in charge of the underground economy, has switched gears and rebranded as Leon, which was CoreLEON, rebranded as Elon. It's not coring with Leon Mafia, it's now boring with the Elon boring tunnel. But it's still LEON, Leon, CoreLEON. It's still the CoreLEON Mafia, folks. They're just, now it's Elon the Musk. That's it. And it's not a new system. They've used similar ways of hiding before, where the character presented to you in America and the rest of the world looks a lot like a guy like Elon, but the creative force, the person really behind it, does not look like that guy at all. The person really running the show is using that person like a human surrogate. You might want to watch the movie Surrogates. It's actually a good metaphor for how it's working. You know, it presents it as like drone or clone technology, where a person can have a clone surrogate that's very lifelike, that because the world's full of disease, they send them out and that person represents them. But think of it like a metaphor for if a person who's rich and wealthy could simply buy or lease another human being as an actor and full time have that person represent them and their interests. That's all I've ever tried to explain to people that Elon Musk is. He's simply an extension of CoreLEON. Okay, now, where were the other people that were connected to the things involving underground tunneling between Mexico to America going to go? They went to La Luz del Mundo. This church became this lore. It became a cover behind what's underneath. All these economies involve taking things involving rat lines that are underground tunnels that go hundreds of miles, sometimes whatever, or they go from one country to the other between Mexico to America. But the point is, the people in charge of those, they use things that are more like vitrification processes. They use things that are way more sophisticated than you ever see Elon Musk present to you as part of boring tunnel. They use nuclear vitrification, which glassifies the rock underneath very, very quickly turns it into other materials, and then, you know, there's leftover things like radon gas, there's uranium, and then there's the people that process it into low enriched uranium, high enriched uranium, and then those things can be resold internationally, which requires money laundering. And so if you're a person who's involved in any part of this economy, how do you hide your money? Whether you're just a guy that goes underneath and pulls it out of the tunnels, or you run the tunnel machine, or get deeper, once the tunnels have been bored out, who's going to install the plumbing? Who's going to install all the architecture? Who's going to install the cement? Who's going to bring in all the other things that have to be done for an underground facility outside the official legal contractors? Folks, we all know that construction that happens above ground almost never happens 100% with legal labor. All right, so how the hell do you think they're doing things underground? And you know these things are secrets. How is the secret kept? It's the new form of the way the mafias are hiding, using religions that are non-denominational. I'm not being critical of people's beliefs, folks. You can believe whatever you want to, okay? You're free to. That's completely okay. What I'm simply suggesting to you is that increasingly, La Luz del Mundo really truly represents something way, way deeper to this partnership that's existed between the Rebecca Assembly and the cartels historically. Now, I gotta move around a little bit, guys, because I'm trying to use my network and things have been happening over here. But the reason why I wanted to get a little bit deeper into this is because these religions now increasingly are just becoming fake cover for people that want to just simply money launder other types of transactions. Well, how about that? I don't even want to say what just happened. But yeah, they basically create groups that are like citizens watchguard organizations or religions that don't really exist, that aren't really doing the thing that they claim. So like, if they claim that they're helping children, well, they're not. They're actually doing things to kidnap or harm or sell them. And actually having something that makes you look like a watchdog or a person that's a good citizen is a good cover to hide behind, because any artificial intelligence based investigations will be able to pick up what you're doing and find out. And so this places you near the data sets while you're not actually helping, you're actually part of the problem. And again, that's why La Luz del Mundo requires such investigation and such further, review, is because increasingly you're going to find that those scandals that are connected to child abuse and child sex trafficking and the production of child pornography are not isolated incidences. You're going to realize that that case was simply a way to create a mass media resonance manipulation event that covers up a much larger cluster of activities that's connected to the church. And because this is children's lives and everything, I would hope that even the people within the church would be open there to be a greater discussion about what's really going on, instead of it just simply being, well, I believe this man's an apostle of Jesus Christ, therefore I don't have to believe what you believe. It's a convenient way to let a person who wants just to be a mafia don to hide behind being an apostle of Jesus. Wouldn't you agree? It's the kind of thing that only the CIA and other deep state type people would think up, which says to me that it's more likely a creation of the Leon Mafia, which means it's an extension of CoreLEON. It's effectively a way to bring in the Mexican element of boring tunnel type activities that are hidden as the CoreLEON activities as Leon Musk boring tunnel, which is really CoreLEON Mafia. It's always been the Leon family that does the CoreLEON, okay? The coring to Leon. And that's Leon, Mexico, because that's where central Mexico, Guanajuato is, where there is an enormous tunnel system that extends between America to Mexico. Again, that's something that I think a lot of people know about, underground economies and whatnot, but like for me to say it above ground, it's one of those things where people say, prove it. There you go, folks. Now you know the conundrum we've been in this country for a really long time with a whole bunch of these things. And I just been highlighting La Luz del Mundo a little bit as a way to say, like, are you sure it's a religion, or do you think it might be just covering up something else? And then once you dig past that, I'm not even trying to pick on La Luz del Mundo. I'm telling you that there's a whole cluster of these ones that are mirroring the same template to do things like organ harvesting, child trafficking, drug trafficking, money laundering for child pornographers, things of this nature, guys, that are super dark. and hiding behind being a community watchdog or a nice person that does good things for the community or is religious into something that's non-denominational and very hard to wrap your head around. Again, it's not being critical of a person's choice of religion. It's just a little bit like, is that why it was created? Or is this a little bit one of those things where it's the Mandela effect, where they go, yes, this has been around for over 100 years. Or has it? Or did somebody just seed a lot of things on the internet to make it look like that? Because to me, it seems a little bit too convenient that the apostle of Jesus always has the middle name Joaquin, and that it's been handed down over and over again, one guy with the middle name Joaquin to the next guy with the middle name Joaquin over and over again, and that they seem to be playing the game that all the other groups that are like this do. You see a case released about them that seems to be a mirror of something that happened in reality that gets covered up, but matches the names of the fake case.